Hey everyone. Okay, so this is definitely the final part in the series. This is part 6 of my commentating on the live stream over on the channel appropriately named Nonsense, a stream titled Timeline with the Tessas Part 1, where the Tessas show their bravery in standing behind the things they say with great conviction by doing it from anon fucking accounts, basically. So yeah, that was sarcasm. Anyways, moving on. Let's wrap this shit up because I have 10 minutes left to commentate on. And the reason why I didn't just go ahead and cram this in with the last one is because I saw myself getting very angry as this went on.
But how hard would it be to pick apart a Molly video and see that she spends so many hours on social media that should be spent with her kid? How many games do we hear him come home from a basketball game, with hashtag Where's Walter? And here she is just on live talking to her internet friends that paid for her friendship. How you could easily turn that.
How old is Molly's son? Like 15? And I'm guessing you're comparing this to shit said about Dre. So how old is Dre's youngest? I don't think he's 15. In fact, I think he's substantially younger than 15. Um, I'm not saying that it's right on either side. I mean, I think we all forget just how difficult it is to be parents to kids at that age. And just sometimes we need a fucking break, even if it means that we're just not overly accessible to the kids for a brief moment. I think we're entitled to that. And I think that as we get older, we forget what that's like. And therefore, people criticize, or I think that there's even a large group of people who had no idea what that's like because they're just not yet at that point in life. To which I implore you, ask someone who has been at that point in life before you pass judgment. I know myself, my two youngest ones, they were Irish twins in a sense. They were like 15 months apart. So when they were like 5 years old or younger, I have this amazing ability to tune out everything around me and focus on what it is I want to focus, or just not pay attention to it. And that's because there's only so much of two toddlers around you day in and day out. You the time that at some point you start tuning some shit out. Um, you just have to know when to not do that. That's what's important. But if you tune some things out as they're going on talking about how or why this Barney episode is their favorite, I think you're allowed. You're entitled to do that. Anyway, my point is that I'm not saying it's right to criticize Dre for, I don't know, her interaction with her kid. I think that there's other things to criticize, though. Oh, shit. Sorry.
Into something if you wanted to, if you had those intentions. But they won't, and they don't.
That's been the problem too. And this is already over 2 hours right now. And we're at the 10th of
I think 11th? We're at the 11th, yeah.
11th of June. And so we're going to have to do a part 2 because nobody's going to want to sit here for multiple. We might even have to get to a part 3 because this is where, social media has already had an impact in this story at this point in time. Choices were being made. But there is so much more. Like, you've heard 2 hours worth of things that happened in just days, a month. Yeah. A month. We went from June 11th when the family found out. I mean, yes, we started at May 23rd, but really the main dates were June 11th to July 11th is this month. And we only talk about big pieces, not all the little things. There's just been a lot.
I know one of the things we did point out today, Tess and I were talking about earlier when we were talking about some of the different situations that we're looking at right now. And, we like to sensationalize a lot of things, but when you get down to the heart of things, it's, a lot of these situations that we're seeing right now, you see mental health is a big part of it. You see some of the other cases, not this particular one, but some of the other cases, you see that addiction is a part of it. In some of the other cases, as well as this one, you see the exploitation is a part of it. You see that there is a very common denominator, and Blentess, you may want to touch on it more, but until we really start to have those conversations, I feel like these situations will actually continue to go and go and go and go.
Absolutely. I don't do the drama. I don't do the social media ridiculous, theatrics and all of that. My thing is advocacy, awareness, prevention. We need to speak in very blunt terms, very to the point, nothing candy coated, and just get the word out and educate. Mental illness, that S word awareness, prevention, just there's so many things that these platforms used for, but it seems to always go to drama.
And that's something we talked about a lot too, is like how to segue into important conversations that are surrounding this story, but yet affect all of these other stories, mental health being one of them. That is a topic that we're all pretty passionate about.
Hey, I got a suggestion. How about you try learning how to segue from, I don't know, not being hypocrites? How about that? Okay, because all right, here's where I'm going to stop playing this fucking stream. I think of theirs because I'm going to rewind it just for a minute because I want to address further the part that really infuriated me here, the part that really got me angry, because this is important. This is like the most important thing I think that needs to be. If you walk away remembering nothing else, then just remember this portion of it.
I pray that she comes hard on the law for them. I don't want anybody to lose incomes. However, I pray that they never ever. I'm explaining. Sorry.
No, I can't.
I pray that Dre utter line that has been crossed. I only pray each day for three things. One, I pray for Vaughn. How do you allow them to impact my income, put my family, you help you broker peace. I would like to help you.
Okay, I'm gonna put a note there when I upload this and saying to skip through those few minutes. I had to go see something. This, you can see the sunset in the backyard, and it's my Michael here called me out there to see it, and it was very pretty. It was a nice moment. So sorry, not sorry. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to rewind it, like I said, because I want to revisit this one part.
you on your journey, but please stop aligning with somebody who is bashing the family. Like they're making it worse for you.
Yep.
And so many people were saying the same thing. If you need a platform that makes zero money.
Yep.
And so many people were saying the same thing. If you need a platform that makes zero money and you want to be able to tell your side of the story, or you want to be able to set the record straight, come, we will help you. Like, so many people have gone and said those things, but you still choose to stand behind it. So when I hear, when, and I don't know the date, so I may be jumping ahead.
Since this is the last part, I'm going to just break it down a little bit, maybe stop here and there throughout this thing. But like, basically, you're giving a purity test to the situation. That's what you're doing. Because Letitia didn't allow herself to be platformed on a more pure channel, on a channel that passed your purity test a little bit better, like someone who wasn't profiting. That's where you're lying your purity at. Who the fuck are you to decide that? And besides, you know what? Letitia has one allegiance, one obligation, and that's to her and her son, their relationship, what connects them. It's her only obligation. So she should interact with whatever it is that best protects and fuels and enriches that obligation. And you know what? These purity channels that you want to speak of, the ones who weren't profiting or whatever, they didn't reach out. They didn't offer to do this. They didn't go for Alicia without a crystal ball. Sure as fuck did it. I mean, Christ, she was using Letitia's bragging rights from the very beginning. So Letitia aligned herself with the one channel who was doing the most to help protect her connection with Marvin. And the fact that you think you have any kind of right here to pass judgment on me, sure, you have the right, I guess, to judge anything you want. But you're an asshole for thinking you have that right to judge this. You are. And you're using this as an example of why people shouldn't trust Letitia, why people didn't want to help Letitia in this situation. You're using this to demonize Letitia.
So apologies. But when I hear the message that says, please go away, leave us peace, you've aligned with people who bash us. You've aligned with people who
They fly overhead every morning and evening. There's a golf course near me, and there's ponds and shit on the golf course. They love it there. Like, some days when I go for my walk and shit, there's like hundreds of them there. It looks like it's fucking amazing. So I just like to hear them fly by.
who you're taking money from in exchange to allow them to impact my income, put my family, in a not safe place. Like, these are all the things you've done. And when I hear them say, how dare you? You're a piece of shit. Like, what? Like, how do you not see it? I just don't. Even if I don't agree with somebody, with how somebody parents, how they live, how they keep their house clean, like, even if I don't agree with any of those things, what I don't agree with more is sending people to people's houses that have children inside. What I don't agree with more is calling CPS and acting as if I know exactly what's going on inside of that.
I'm going to further say that I can agree with that. Like, you shouldn't be sending people to anyone's physical location, kids are involved or not kids involved. You just shouldn't be doing that, and no one should be doing that. So sure, I can agree with that. But Letitia didn't do that. Letitia didn't send anyone anywhere. So why you're using this as an excuse to hate on Letitia or to defend Dre's hating on Letitia, whatever, it's a moot point. And why? Because she aligned herself with someone who possibly did that, allegedly? Probably. All right. Well, what's supposed to do if that's the only person who's getting her progress? And when the person like Dre, for example, hell, Dre didn't even fucking bother to inform her of the situation. You know? Can't forget that.
Home based off of a 2-minute clip. I
Wait.
don't agree with, I mean, just so many different things.
You wouldn't invite a CPS worker to join your Facebook group?
The absolute,
What's so wrong with that? Because the CPS workers should be not joining Facebook groups as well. I mean, they can join Facebook groups as a means to get information, but they should not be basing any decisions solely on a Facebook group or solely on the information obtained from one. And there's nothing to suggest that said CPS worker even joined the group, let alone did any of those things. So what the fuck does that matter? You can invite anyone you want to your Facebook group for any reason.
an utter line that has been crossed. I only pray each day for 3 things. One, I pray for Vaughn first and foremost, because he is the most important thing in this entire mess to me. I pray for reconciliation, and I pray for, peace. That's peace all around. No matter who it involves, peace all around. And the last thing I pray is I pray that Dre hits every single person.
Did she just really cut out?
It's still hearing it the second time is
Nanya?
it's just as funny.
Wintessa, can you still hear her?
Like, dude, her microphone was Gandhi and shut her the fuck up. This kills me.
No, I can't hear her at all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, there she is.
Sorry, I got a phone call and it took off the microphone. Sorry.
No, you're okay. I was like, why does it always cut her off when she's giving these? Like, because I cut you off last time. Okay, continue.
Sorry, I just was saying my last one is I pray that Dre has the most amazing legal team that comes in and sues every single person who has worked to defame her, worked to take her children away, worked to take her husband away, made inflammatory claims against her as if they knew her personally, made claims about what was happening inside her home based off small clips. I mean,
people felt like they knew her personally because she was very personal with them over and over again through social media in the form of Facebook Lives. Okay. So, when you enjoy the perks of something, you have to also anticipate the consequences or the downfalls, whatever. You can't sit there and demand to be able to enjoy one thing while demanding everything else not be applied. It'd be nice if you could. I mean, I think we can all agree to that, but yeah, you don't get to, sadly.
Literally just, talk about the absolute chaos of social media. I pray that she comes hard on the law for them. I don't want anybody to lose incomes. However, I pray that they never, ever are allowed to do this to a family again. I've recently been watching the Cash, Gurner stuff that's going on and learning about the task force that they're working with and just a little bit about their situation. And I have kind of, there's like 3 rabbit holes that I'm down right now. But as I listen to the videos about, this beautiful young little tiny boy, I can't even imagine, one, the grief that family is going through. But more so, I just can't even imagine the exploitation of that grief and how somebody sleeps at night knowing that they make money off of somebody else's embarrassments, shame, mistakes, guilty. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect people.
Can you imagine, though? Just think for 1 second, like going back and yes, they were very public about their lives, but then having, and I've had to admit fault, but then having social media pull apart every single inch and only pick the worst potentially.
I gotta ask, in all of these Facebook Lives that Dre did she never commentate on someone or something else? Did she never pass judgment on someone else and profit off of their bad moments in life or something like that, or talking about them? Because you don't get to support it on one side and then demonize it on the other when it's the same fucking behavior, okay? And like it or not, commentary exists for a reason. Like this is a category for a reason. Sure, there's absolute wrong ways to go about it, but again, that's also subjective because some people would think something's wrong while having no issue with something else and vice versa, whatever, okay? So unless it violates terms of service or the law, which terms of service pretty much covers the law, I think, it's fair use. Sure, you can commentate about it, but you're acting like you want to get rid of it. Well, then you're trying to get rid of a fucking part of humanity, really. Good luck with that. But more importantly, well, kind of more importantly, I mean, it's bad enough that y'all think you're entitled to fucking police YouTube like this. But what makes you think you're not the same fucking thing you're trying to police right now? What are you doing? Only you're not even doing it behind an actual fucking identity. You're doing it like a bitch. No offense, but that's what it's like. You're hiding behind anonymity so you can say and spew all this shit you want about someone and paint them in whatever light, and to provide and offer no fucking proof or evidence. You're trying to protect yourself from any liability for the things you're saying while demanding liability for everything else everyone else says. You are no different. No different. And it's fine. You know what? It's fine. You can commentate any way you want. You can give whatever opinion you want, regardless of how ludicrous or hypocritical it is. Sure. But you ain't got no right to demand that Molly's channel be taken down or anyone else's when you're guilty of doing the same exact shit. How is this not exploitative? It is. But you know what? That's your right. You can do that here. You can do what you're doing. But to then do it and think that you have a right to penalize anyone else for doing it or for doing it first, that's not how this goes. Here's what my big issue with all of this, with everyone involved who's saying and calling for people's channels to be taken down, whether it's Katie's channel or Molly's channel or your channel or fucking Keemstar's channel or Def Noodles or whoever is on the chopping block for the week. Here's my issue with that. You don't get to police YouTube. Who the fuck are you? Terms of service is there for a reason, okay? They have these rules for a reason. If something offends you so deeply, fucking report it. That's your right, whatever. But you don't get to be terms of service here. You don't. You don't have a right to decide what I have to choose from on YouTube to watch. You don't have a right to decide that for me. And I don't have the right to decide that for you, but the difference here is I don't want it. I don't want to. I think you should be able to have all the options available, and then you decide for yourself. But you don't agree with that. You think you should have some sort of right here to choose what options we have. Like, I mean, this isn't an issue of free speech because, I know what free speech means and I get it. And I don't have any right to have any kind of freedom of speech when interacting with you. I get that. But you have to realize that you are, in fact, trying to limit speech based on your own morality, based on your own sense of right or wrong, or what should or shouldn't be allowed. You don't get to decide that for me. This is my big problem with all this, because I've heard a lot of different creators here talking like Molly should be losing her channel. You don't get to decide that. What if I want to keep having her as an option to choose from to watch here on YouTube? What right do you have to take that from me? You don't. I like watching the fly like that in the V. It's so cool. Anyway, that's my whole issue with all of this, because it's not just you three here that I've heard talking like this. It's other channels, particularly ones feuding with Molly. They now think that Molly is some horrible person here on YouTube, and she doesn't deserve to still be a voice here, to have a channel, because they suddenly now don't agree with her when a month ago they were all about her. I'm just pointing that out. You can hate Molly, you can dislike her, you can love or hate Katie, I don't care. But the second you start feeling like they don't have a right to exist here, and you want to start pushing your belief like that and convincing others, you're the problem. You are the fucking problem here. Not Katie, not Molly, no one else but you. You're the fucking problem. And with that, I'm going to end this, because Otherwise, I'm going to start feeling myself get angry again. So, good night. This concludes my whole series here. Goodbye.